there's no one like TJ. TJ has a very special place in my heart. She, you know, that was a time in my life that I'll never forget. And I just grew to love her. She taught me so much, about patience and grace and empathy. And, I just love her. I'll love her forever.
We had an interesting discussion a while ago. Unfortunately, MGM has not put it on YouTube when the Stargate Command channel went down. But we had, you and I and Chris, a discussion about how you discovered her vulnerability, and
Yeah.
that you called her crybaby. You said she's like crying all the time, but then you started accessing this other part of the character and you had a revelation. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. She was just like, yeah, it was kind of like, um, I just was annoyed with her a lot because she was always like, I can't do it. I don't know how. And like every script, it was like TJ fighting herself basically. And then I realized it was her sort of utilizing her community. And they were in this situation that no one's ever really been in. And she didn't go in, she went out and all encompassing. And I think it's such a response for us to be like, I can do it by myself, which is where I personally was at in life.
Right.
And I realized like, you don't have to, you have a community, you have people who love you. You have other people you can serve. And if you enjoy servicing, you know, giving service to others, then you should be able to receive it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like a real big life lesson for me at 28 years old.
Wow. And as a caregiver, normally, I mean, I would have a difficult time detaching my empathy, you know, just to go home at night and rest after watching someone die on my table, you know, during the day. I can only imagine that. And so with someone like her, you know, who has been thrown clear across the universe, I mean, we can't even imagine what this would feel like. You know, she's the only one out there in her mind who can medically care for these people in any way. So I can imagine, you know, for the first few weeks of that would be pretty darn crushing.
Yeah. And also she wasn't fully qualified.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of her insecurity. But again, like there was a need for her to be at least trying. And yeah, it was overwhelming, but yeah, I love her. She's very special.
I think that you're right. She was a medic. I think that as the show would have gone on, we would have had people stone in, as it were, to complete her training and make her a full doctor. I bet that would have happened as the show continued. But you know,
absolutely.
How did you get that role? Can you tell us that story if you don't mind?
Yeah. It was I think Ruby's done.
Moving on.
Yeah, she's like, got all the love I need. Yeah, it was an audition like anything else. And I read it. I read for TJ and I liked her. I thought she was cool. She had a little edge. She, you know, I don't remember the scene that I auditioned, but yeah, but they, you know, they really liked me. And so they offered me a test deal. And so we negotiate your test deal. But then they came back and they're like, you know, we want to test you for Chloe. And I was like, oh, interesting. And then I don't know if they must have sent me the pilot, but it was, you know, it was 3 episodes, the pilot. And there was so many characters. It was confusing. And like any script, like even Riverdale, there's so many characters. Or I was on a show, The 100, which has a lot of Stargate qualities, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, there's so many characters in different realms and worlds and things like that. So you can get kind of lost, especially if you don't have context. You've never seen a set. It's not an existing show, right? We were going to be making this. So I just was like, I wasn't really feeling Chloe. And I went in, I did the audition and I didn't love it. And I called my agent and I was like, I don't think that's the job for me. Like, I really just, I don't think I did a good job. Maybe it's not mine, you know, which is a hard thing to do when you've negotiated a 7-year deal and it's, you know, you're looking at like a peak of your career. And I just was like, I don't think it should. Okay, I'll I'll call them. So she called and said, she didn't think she did a great job. She doesn't feel like it's the right character. And they're like, yeah, we agree. And I was like, all right, great. And then they called back the next day and they offered me the job at TJ.
So they switched back.
Yeah. So like, and I don't know what happened in their test because they were testing TJs that day. I don't know if they thought I just wouldn't do the show otherwise, if that mattered to them. I don't know. I just remember it being like, it's kind of like an affirmation to me that's what's for you won't miss you, because that's a really hard thing to say, is like, I don't think this is my job.
Well, we're talking about, you had young family at this, but you still have a pretty young family, talking about being able to sustain that for potentially 5-7 years and saying no. I don't know but I mean, if you're going to be in the wrong character, the place that you don't feel that you're coming from yourself, you feel like a fraud for half a decade. I mean, that'd be hard. Imagine going to work with that in your mind every day.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where I remember also another situation. I was on a hike with a friend of mine, and there was an audition that had come through, and I same thing. I just wasn't really feeling, and I usually say yes to every opportunity, whether or not it goes my way or what I have to do sort of in the interim. I always try to look at it as like a great opportunity. My agents work really hard to get these for me. I don't take it lightly. And there was this character, I forget what it was, but it wasn't for me. And I remember saying to my friend, like, I feel bad. I don't want to even pass on it. And she goes, don't think of it as you passing on it. Think of it as you opening the opportunity for somebody else, because somebody else is deserving and willing to do this job. And so that's kind of my mentality now. And that was how it was with Chloe. Like, it just wasn't my job. It wasn't for me. And Elise was amazing. And I love Elise. And like, I wouldn't know her otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, it all worked out.
Yeah. And the universe has a way of course correcting, when you pass something along, something else, if I believe, will come your way, you're going to be okay. So,
yeah, and it always works out.
Exactly right. Tell us who among the cast you gelled with immediately, and who took a little bit longer for you to figure out. Can you tell the Robert Carlile story when he first opened his mouth and you were like, oh boy.
Oh yeah. Was it on? I think it was like the first table read we had. I first saw him at the test. He was going outside in between. They tested all the characters at the same time. And he said hello, and he's like, nice work. And I said, thank you. And then I saw him the first time at work a few months later, and he was outside of the studio, and his accent is so thick. And then I was like, oh my God, I don't understand you. and then I felt like every time I said, huh? Pardon? He like got quieter and quieter. And I was like, oh my God. But then when he's on camera, he's an actor, of course, but you don't think like this, even though I'm an actor. He like really opens up, and he makes a very pronounceable accent for everybody. And I told him, I was like, oh my God, I was questioning. And he's like, oh, I know. And he's like, the less you understand, the quieter I get. And I was like, yeah, that's what happened.
That's funny. Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.